Welcome to I Love This Thing So Freaking Much, a podcast about passion. My name is Sophie Katz, and today I am joined by Tyler Carlock, a cast member at Walt Disney World and a former scare actor. Welcome to the show, Tyler.
Hello, Sophie. Thanks so much for having me here.
Thanks for being here. So, here's how this works. Tyler will have 3 minutes to talk about something that he loves. This can be a person, place, thing, concept, activity, anything he wants. Our only requirement is that he loves it wholeheartedly and wants to tell us why. Are you ready, Tyler?
Ready when you are.
All right. Got my timer here. Now, what do you love so freaking much?
So the thing I love so freaking much is haunted houses. And I am not talking about a real life haunted house. I want little or nothing to do with actual ghosts. I am talking about the type of haunted house you'll see at a theme park or just in a typical fairground or something where you have actual people roaming around in a very spooky setting trying to scare everyone else. To me, that's something that is just so much fun. And it's such a different form of theater that a lot of people don't really understand or get to experience as much. Luckily, living in Florida, we have probably the greatest Halloween event every single year called Halloween Horror Nights at Universal. I was extremely fortunate to be a scare actor for 1 year, and it was the best job I ever had, where I literally just got to stand around and scare people for the entire night. I had so many incredible, fun memories just from doing that, which is such a weird thing because I am a very scared person generally. I generally don't like to be scared. I enjoy scaring other people. But having done that gave me a newfound respect for the horror genre and haunted houses to the point where I now love them so much. I constantly think about haunted houses and how I, in the future, would love to create my own haunted house and create like my own storylines for these haunted houses. I watch a scary movie now and all I see and think about is, okay, how can I adapt this and create this into a haunted house I could potentially do in the future? Or I play a scary video game. I'm like, okay, so how can I make this enemy appear in a haunted house setting? What sort of hidey hole can I put them in where they can jump out and scare people? It's become kind of like almost an obsession of mine where I'm just so immersed now into the horror genre of just trying to figure out what are the best franchises, what are the things people love, what is it that draws people to haunted houses, and trying to figure out how in my own head how to put it all together into something I could potentially create for the future. It's so funny because growing up, I had never been to a haunted house until I was late, until only like a couple years ago. But I remember seeing on the Travel Channel specials about
Go ahead and
haunted
finish your thought.
houses, and now all I want to do is just create them.
That's wonderful. Thank you for telling us about haunted houses today.
Thank you.
So you said just now that you never went to a haunted house when you were a little kid. So how did you first get interested in haunted houses?
So it was really seeing specials on the Travel Channel is what started me like slightly interested. Then obviously the Haunted Mansion attraction at Walt Disney World being a basically a ride through haunted house, culminating in me just looking up the history and lore of the Halloween Horror Nights event at Universal before finally, during Halloween Horror Nights 25, I got the courage to buy a ticket and I went for the first time.
And what was that like when you went for the first time?
It was terrifying, but also so much fun. Um, I didn't realize this when I first went because like after like 400 houses, I felt so drained because of just like how like scared I was. I left after only 4 of the 9 haunted houses. Um, but having taken a couple of friends who have never been before as well, I discover someone who isn't a fan of horror. That's actually kind of common for their first time, because around the same point I got so drained I had to like leave. They also got really drained and had to leave at that same point, basically.
Could you talk a little more about how haunted houses are theater?
Haunted houses is a very unique form of theater, in my opinion, because it involves all of the same things you would find in a normal theater. You have your actors, you have your lighting design, you have your sound equipment, you have your sets, you have a director, a stage manager. All of it is involved in a haunted house. It's just instead of you sitting in a chair looking at a stage, you are essentially walking through the stage.
Mm-hmm. It's like the audience has been set as the main characters of the horror movie.
Exactly. And it's almost like, will you even escape alive as these creatures hunt you down? But eventually you always do.
Now I'm a scaredy cat, so even just thinking about that, what you just said is giving me a little bit of the jitters here. Like, oh no, I want to survive.
It's funny too, because like if you look at pop culture, everyone always loves the villains in the story.
Mm-hmm.
Even though you know at least one of the heroes eventually makes it to the end, everyone loves the villains. No one remembers who survived in Friday the 13th.
Huh.
Everyone remembers Jason Voorhees, though.
You mentioned before that you like thinking about what exactly it is that draws people to haunted houses. So, what is it that draws people to haunted houses?
I think it's the fact that you know that you're going to escape from this horror alive, because people
Mm-hmm.
love horror. They want to see themselves in a horror film, but knowing that they'll make it to the end. So people, I feel like, are drawn to these haunted events because of the love of horror that they have, and wanting to actually put themselves into the hero's shoes, having the killer chase them, but also knowing that they're obviously there's an end to it as well.
So I can only assume that with when you worked at haunted houses, when you performed in them, then you learned even more about how it all works. That probably helps make it feel even more safe as well, because you knew even more, this isn't real. This is something I'm creating.
Exactly. The first time I went there, it's still like everything still felt extremely real to me. I wasn't paying attention to like the lighting design, the set design. I was paying attention to, okay, where's the killer gonna pop up
Oh
next?
yeah.
Now, having been a scare actor, I don't pay attention as much even to like where's the killer pop. I'm looking at all the small details around, all the sets, all the props, all of the lighting and the sound, everything that's involved within these haunted houses.
Do you have any fun stories from scaring people?
I think my proudest accomplishment was when I got someone to be scared so hard that they broke the exit sign right across
Oh
from my home. Yeah, so there's an exit sign on the ground because it's a very foggy room I was in. I was in a little hole directly across from it. It's called a boo hole with
no.
a
Hmm.
curtain right in front. So I pop out of my boo hole with my fake wooden knife, pretending like I'm stabbing at them. And this woman got so scared, she jumped back and accidentally kicked the exit sign, breaking it wide open.
Oh no.
She was perfectly fine and she moved on quickly after it. I just thought it was hilarious and funny.
Yeah, it's real emotional reaction and physical reaction.
Yeah, it's very fortunate. Like most people know how they react well enough to know that to know whether or not they should even go to these places. Like if you're one of those people that acts violently getting scared, I would not recommend going to Halloween Horror Nights because you're in such a confined space. Just don't react violently, which some people just naturally do.
Yeah, if you don't want to hurt anyone, it is all for pretend.
Exactly.
Tyler, again, thank you so much for telling us about something you love today.
Thank you so much for having me on here. It was a lot of fun.
Good. And thank you, our listeners, for tuning in today. If you would like to learn more about the haunted houses Tyler loves, you can find a link to the Halloween Horror Nights website in the episode description. And don't forget to use the hashtag #LoveThisThingCast to tell us about the things you love. I Love This Thing So Freaking Much is a production of Through the Window Media. This episode was directed by Sophie A. Katz and edited by Melissa Block. You can find us at Through the Window on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, or Tumblr. That is THROU the Window at all those social media sites. Be good to yourself, be kind to each other, and you'll hear from us again soon.